Hi, today is July 5th and welcome to another edition of the Juneau Garden. I'm Bob Sweeney, station manager of the channel 991. Today we're just going to take a little tour around my gardens, and right now in back of me is my wildflower garden. It's kind of overgrown now. It's just kind of allow it to take its own decisions on how it wants to grow and things like that. Let's just take a look at it. I believe these are coneflowers. In this part of the garden I have a lot of milkweed plants. Of course I leave the milkweeds for the monarch butterflies. There was just one here just as I was setting up and I wasn't able to get it recorded. Oh, there it is. Oh. It's flittering around and not landing. Over here we have daisies. Behind the daisies we have goldenrod. And here we have some kind of an ornamental apple tree probably that was planted by the birds. In the center there is a red cedar. Right next to it a couple of ornamental trees that were planted by the birds again. We do have a butterfly flying around here, a couple of them actually. But they don't stay in one place. Lots of daisies are in bloom right now. A few more coneflower in here. I think those are coneflowers, but they might be black-eyed Susans. I'm not real good at my flowers. This is the side of my garden that's next to my vegetable garden, and there's that monarch butterfly. It doesn't seem to be wanting to sit in one place. All right, here I have a couple of tubs, actually 3 of them. I have dill growing in here. I have kohlrabi in this one, and I have radishes in this one. I just actually harvested most of them and I planted seeds back in here again. The carrots are coming really nice now. I'm really happy with the way they look now. And the spinach is done in this part of the garden. And right next to the spinach here would be the turnips. I've never had turnip leaves this large before. I hope now all the energy is not going into the leaves and some is actually going into the root. Let's see what we can see. Well, that looks like a pretty good sized root. I think I'll pull that one out of there. Yes, I think we'll take that one. And here's another very large one. Better pick that one too. Look at all those leaves. Here we have a couple of purple cabbage. You see they've got some holes in them. Must have some, I got a hornet down inside there. Wonder what that thing's chewing on. And in this bed right here, I have some bunching onions. I'm going to harvest those today. And there's a small pepper plant here next to it. And this has a little bit of heat. This variety has some heat associated with it, where my bell peppers of course don't. Some of you might be wondering why this big rock is right here. My son suggested that I put a rock here to help warm up the ground in the spring. With the sun shining on the rock heats up and then that applies heat to the ground, thus aiding germination. And then in here I have some leeks. I've never planted leeks before, so that's going to be new for me. And next to the leek I have 2 cabbage on the far side of these 2 broccoli. And down the middle of this part of the bed I have dill growing, coming quite slowly. And I've replanted spinach here to the left of the dill. Planted some lettuce in here, but I don't see anything coming up yet, so I don't know what's going on with that. I have another pepper plant here. Again, this is one that's a little hotter than any of the others I've ever planted. The real sad part here is I planted on the other side of this pepper in a row here alongside the dill some peas. That's where I had beans growing, and the beans turned out to have a problem. The leaves are all turning brown and broken. And I took them to the master gardeners to find out what was wrong with them, and they really didn't know for sure. And they sent the information to the University of Wisconsin, people down there, to find out what was wrong, and the guy who responded suggested it was probably an insect, and I was supposed to look for them, and I could not find any insect problems with it. But I pulled them all out in case it was diseased and got rid of them, and I replanted peas in there. And if you take a look right here, you can see little indentations in the ground here. Well, that's where the peas used to be. But I've got a gopher living in the area here, and it came in and looks like it has eaten all those seeds. So I'm going to have to do something about that gopher. Over here we have overgrown lettuce and some broccoli that I grew from seeds in the garden. Next row over, I have beets here, and they're not doing really well. They might be shaded too much, I'm not sure. In between them, kohlrabi that I planted with seeds. We've eaten a number of them, I think about 3 of them that I had planted earlier in the cold frame, and they of course really taste good. Of course, we have all the beets all along here. I think they'll come, it's just going to take them a little longer. And I have another row of beans here that I planted at the same time as the one that went bad. I have to keep an eye on those. But no beans yet. I had some decayed straw bales here, and I put all kinds of compost on top of those decayed bales and planted in my red onion sets. They're doing okay, I think. Although with the rain, a lot of it has washed down, and you can see some of them right here are all laid over to the side because the soil has washed down. Another rock for heating up the soil. Let's see here. There. Gopher hole down into the hugelkultur mound. On top of the hugelkultur, I transplanted volunteer dill in here. This is where my Roma tomatoes are. And there are little Romas on there, little tomatoes on there. See if we can't zoom in on one here. Sure enough. These plants are not very big. I don't think they get enough sunlight. But the biggest disappointment are these cantaloupe, these muskmelon. These are pride of Wisconsin, and they just are not growing. Again, it might be that they're too shaded. All right, so that's what things are like in my upper garden, in my raised beds. Some things, just like every year, some things are doing better than others. And here are canis plants that I planted behind my shed next to my sidewalk, and they are being attacked by Japanese beetles. Look at what those beetles have done to that leaf. There's one sitting right there. They have caused lots of problems. Okay, right behind me is my house. So I'm up on top of the hill where the house is located, and here's where my lower garden is. And these are grapes right here, the grape arbor. Okay, coming down the hill a little bit, there's my lower garden in the background. You can see the corn. But this bush right here is a hazelnut tree. And I've been fighting with the Japanese beetles chewing on this. And there's another one right over here. I had a third one, but you can see it has died. But they send up a lot of shoots out of their roots. So I left one here to grow and replace that one that died. So here are my grapes. They are not doing well this year. They're really struggling. It came really late, and I don't think there's any grapes on it at all. And I've been fighting with the Japanese beetles on the leaves too. And on the west side of the garden we have the corn this year. It's a variety called bodacious. And I have the first crop right here. And next to it, of course, I've got the second crop, second planting. Let's show you this right here. See how the leaves have been chewed off the top? Deer have walked through. On the southwest side of the garden, I have some peppers. This, I think, is one that came really late in the cold frame, so it hasn't been in the ground that long. They are starting to show small peppers on them now. And these are bell peppers. Next to them are the potatoes. I've tried staking my tomatoes a number of different ways, and last year I didn't have much success at all. So I went back to just allowing them to grow as they want to, except that I do try to take off the suckers. Little pepper plant here. These are early girls here. And they do have tomatoes on them. I'm not really sure this is the best way to grow them, but I was so displeased with trying to stake them last year that I'm going to let them go this year again, like this. And right back in here we have pickling cucumbers. Let's go see if there's any on there. Well, there's a tiny one right there. There's another little one. Well, lots of flowers, but there's no one right there. Pretty small yet though. I don't see any big ones yet. Or bigger ones. Oh, what do we got here? Yep, there's one that got away on me. It's been so wet that I haven't been able to get in and check her out. I'm going to have to dig through here and see if I can find some more like this. And between my two varieties of cucumbers is the watermelon. And there are some tiny ones on there. Well, this is the size of the watermelon. And they are tiny. Here, I can make it look a little bigger that way. Next to the watermelon are my slicing cucumbers. Well, let's go see if there's any in there. And like the pickling cucumbers, there's quite a few small ones in here. 3 of them right here. And digging around a little bit closer to the base of the plant, you see a little longer one in there. And this one right here I think we'll be eating tonight. Because I had to get rid of that row of beans in the upper garden, I planted some beans down here in the lower garden just behind the peppers. And they have really popped. Like that warm weather. Unfortunately, with all the rain, we've gotten some runoff here. And I planted some kohlrabi down here too. A lot of them got covered up. But some of them have broken through here. Where are you? There's one right there. Another one right here. But those heavy storms have not been easy on the plants. Here by my slicing cucumbers is a volunteer tomato plant from last year, so I don't know what variety it would be. And if it was a hybrid, it would only, of course, be partially what we had here last year. Going up the hill just a little bit, we have squash. These are butternut squash. I could not get them to germinate in my cold frame. So I got some seed later on in the year and finally got some growing here, but they're really late compared to what I think they should be. And my zucchini are late as well. I completely forgot about planting them. So I planted them directly here into the garden. This is what we've got coming so far. Here's a hybrid muskmelon that's doing much better than my muskmelon up in my upper garden. There's some small muskmelon on here too. But the plant that just grows like a weed is my sugar pumpkin. And there are a number of small pumpkins on this plant. Plants, I guess. I think I have 4 of them in here. And there are quite a few little pumpkins. This is a variety of grape that I planted last year. It's called Somerset. It's supposed to be seedless, I think. And I did not have much success with it last year, and now finally it's growing slowly. But the sad part of all that is I replaced one that didn't come last year, and here it is, not coming again this year. I'll have to go back to Jung's and see if I can't get that replaced. And here I have cannas that are getting chewed up by the bugs. Boy, the leaves look bad. And there's a couple bugs right here, Japanese beetles. They are really hard to take care of. And here, of course, is the asparagus bed. And since it's now July, I won't be doing any more picking this year. It's not as if I haven't already eaten an awful lot of asparagus this year. Plus I froze some, so we continue to eat some. And the strawberries are essentially done. Just a few scattered here and there, really small. So now I'm going to encourage the runners to go both to the left and to the right of this bed and see if I can't make 2 rows on either side of this main row here. And a friend that I square danced with gave me those cannas bulbs, so I planted them in a small bed down here. So with some other flowers here, I do not know what they are. Some free package that I got last year, and I just planted them down here. Both sets of flowers seem to be doing pretty well. And here is my 5th cannas bed. They also are growing pretty well. These are some oriental lilies that my wife got from her mother. Some bulbs. They're looking pretty nice now. Need to do something with this bed, either make it bigger or something. Just up the hill a little bit. More flowers. Oh, will you look at that? It looks like there's a storm coming. Surprise, surprise, huh? That's a real novelty this year. Well, I think we're going to call this a program.